Anyway, let's move on to this very subject. This is what Fabio Capello had to say in his press conference. Jack Wilshere, as we've now discovered, is going to be out for a while. He had a number of things to say, including this. It seems that he was a little bit upset that Arsenal didn't take any action after he was injured against Switzerland on June the 4th. Capello says afterwards he went on holiday. After, when he started the season, he was not fit. Now they've found the problem. It's not my job to say what happened, but he suffered against Switzerland and then went on holiday for a month. And we've got Vermaelen injured as well. Arsenal are at the current club where people are looking at it saying, why have they got so many injuries? Let's blame the physio. I suppose it's more likely to be the physio than the tea lady, but it seems to be that kind of first port of call, isn't it? You get a few injuries in your team, you don't say it's bad luck. You always say, what's wrong with the medical department? What are they getting wrong? Which must annoy our next guest, top physio from PhysioRoom.com, Stuart Mills. Hi, Stuart.
Good afternoon.
Does that frustrate you when you're in the job and the people start questioning the whole kind of setup simply because a few people get knocks?
Definitely, and there's also pressure from the managers as well.
I was going to say that.
When a player's on the way back, there's a huge amount of pressure from the manager to see the player come back fit. I think in the case of with Wilshere, obviously Arsenal have known that his squad was pretty thin. Fabregas on the way out, some big games quite early on in the season, and he must have been worried that he could potentially be on the end of a beating at places like Manchester United, which in fact happened, and rush Wilshere back, playing pre-season matches where the injury reoccurred. So there is a pressure from the manager as well. Having said that, the comments from Capello, there is a point there. The players incurred an injury playing for England, so he's slightly deflecting the blame a bit as well. But he's incurred the injury playing for England, but then he's gone away on holiday for a month. We've seen Wilshere this week walking around in protective aircast boot, but he wasn't wearing that the initial month after incurring the initial injury when he went on holiday. So maybe he could have done that straight away, and that would have speeded up his recovery.
I mean, is this something you would expect them to know? I mean, they're obviously they know what they're doing. Even Jack Wilshere has been saying, our medical team have been getting stick, but I'm going to assure you I'm in very safe hands, and we have top-class physios and masseurs, he says. But I mean, what should they have done? What could they have known to stop him going away and saying, right, let's treat it now, you can't go anywhere?
I think if there'd been more of an assessment of the injury itself, I think with Wilshere, he's the type of player, a bit like John Terry, where he's more likely to say, no, I'm okay, and it'll be fine, don't worry about it, it's not that serious an injury, and then gone on holiday, whereas it may be a case where he needed to have it looked at a bit more seriously. But hindsight's quite an easy thing in this situation. I think with talking about the Arsenal medical team as well, it's quite interesting that in some ways they've sort of learned from their mistakes with regards to Thomas Vermaelen. I mean, he sort of grabbed the headlines that he's out again with an Achilles injury, which kept him out for a long time last season. And I can understand now it's really frustrating for the fans because that particular injury, it looked like he was going to return. It just kept getting put back throughout the season. This injury he's got is similar injury to what he had last year, but on the other leg, on his left Achilles this time. And they've really sort of cut to the chase and gone to see the specialist straight away.
Yeah.
Whereas last year he had the Achilles problem. He looked like he was recovering. Wasn't until towards the end of the season that he went to see the specialist in Stockholm and had the surgery. They've been very really sort of got to the end point this time and said, no, let's have the surgery straight away. So at least, in when he does return in maybe 6 to 8 weeks, he should be okay for the rest of the season. So I think there's been a learning process there as well.
Sure.
Diagnostics, though, are quite difficult, aren't they, Stuart? Because we had Ben Ayoun last year. He got injured for Chelsea. They sent him out to Israel. And when he got to the thing, they said, well, he's really injured. He's really seriously injured. So did somebody miss something? I wouldn't like to say that, but, I mean, something went on. I mean, it's obviously quite tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be. And, part of different players have different pain thresholds as well. And, a player may say, no, I'm okay. I'm fine to play through this. And then later break down. So it's difficult for different players as well. Needs to be a sort of assessment of knowing the player's personality.
If you were in that Arsenal physio room now, Stuart, and you heard those kind of comments from Fabio Capello, I mean, how are you feeling about that? I mean, you're going to be annoyed about it? And I suppose the other thing is that if you're not sure about a player, I know England physios check the players, But next time, when you're not completely sure, you're going to err on the side of caution and say, well, we don't think he's fit to play for England.
Yeah, and we saw Arsene sort of say with regards to Wilshere in the under-21s, wasn't keen for him to take part in that, and he eventually didn't. So, it's a similar sort of situation I can see arising in the future.
Would you have preferred him to talk to you? If it was the England management had a problem with someone's fitness at your club, you would probably rather him pick the phone up and speak to your physio, wouldn't you? Or certainly somebody in the England centre.
You'd think the relationship between England and the club would be pretty strong, because obviously Gary Lewin being almost like a number two to Capello, the amount of times you see him sat next to him at different matches, and then his cousin being one of the physios over at Arsenal as well. So you would expect communications between the clubs to be very strong.
Yeah.
Sort of aside from those. That particular relationship, it's different at other clubs as well. You would imagine it to be strong there.
Good to talk to you, Stuart. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot.
Take care. Stuart Mills there from PhysioRoom.com, the top physio's website. Have you got your thoughts on that, Arsenal fans, if it frustrates you?